voila! Your dream vacation to Turkey starts from rupees 79,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
There have been certain films that when I've seen them, I've been like, I don't like
I can
this
name
film.
two, I'm not going to name them.
I'm also not going to say it. Quite often I would be like, how do you know how a girl thinks? And he would just be like, Kanna, it's my job. Be there, at the front. I mean, what? In
Up front and center.
Yes.
Okay. One interesting thing about Bipojan's costumes was that they were not as ornate or as jewelry filled as, what is this? What is this you're doing?
Say a film like Carter Day, which got a lot of mixed response. But today, my God, thinking of that song and I'm like, oh, my first love song, like whatever. And I've come to set and he has told me to break vessels, throw something, some bed has broken.
Hi, Aditi Rao Hydari.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Welcome to Galatta Plus, and I'm going to do an act of soothsaying. I'm going to tell you what you're going to be playing in 2034.
Tell me.
You're going to be playing some kind of dancer / courtesan in pre-independence India. And this is what I'm basing my theory on. The first time I saw you was in 2004 in Sringaram.
2004,
In Sringaram.
7.
4.
7.
7.
7.
Okay, so 7. Okay, so this is, okay, this theory has gone a little askew, but anyway. Devdasi in pre-independence India.
And that's how I started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then 2014,
Yeah.
you have Rama Madhav.
Yes.
You're playing a Mujhe Wali
Yes.
in pre-independence India.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
2024, Heeramandi, Tawaif in pre-independence India.
34 again.
So I'm like, you're set, I think this is going to be your...
Every decade.
Every decade you have one iconic, either Mujhe Wali or Devdasi or dancer part. Yeah. What do you think of this?
I actually never thought of it. Now when you're saying it, I'm like almost getting goosebumps. But that's true. I don't know how, but like somebody recently texted me and said that, it's so lovely to see that this is what you're supposed to do. And I'm just like, be in a quota. I'm not so sure about that. But I know where that came from. And I feel like however it happens, but there's that kind of, you just go back to where you started. And when I did Shringaram, I was not even an actor. I was still I was studying. I was learning dance, and I was Leela ka student. And in fact, I was like, nobody's going to allow me to do this film, and I was dying to do it. Just the fact that it's kind of almost back to where that was is incredible, and I never thought of it. So thank you for telling me that. Sanjay sir has said this to me many times, and he said this to me even before I worked on Padmavat. He was like, you are meant to do certain things, and I'm not going to say everything, but I'm not going to say exactly what he said because that's for me, but he said, and you will do them. And every time he would see me on set, he would say, Meri Madhubala. And I thought he was just being encouraging and kind and whatever. And he would always say, this is what you're meant to do, and this is where you're meant to be. And that made me feel like really incredible because I told you, like, when I was little, I had that dream. And Manisha Koirala was part of both those experiences because of Bombay and Khamoshi, where I was like, that one point agenda of being a Mani Ratnam heroine and then Sanjay Bhansali heroine and then a Rituparna Ghosh heroine, which of course didn't happen. But I feel really, really lucky.
I don't know what Sanjay told you in terms of what you'd be, but the point is, there has been a certain element of typecasting because the begums, princesses, unattainable heroine in Samohanam, like you're always a little rarefied. The people that you've been playing, not always of course, but a lot of them. There are very few gangstery type things like you did in Sudhir Mishra's, but even
that's true. And like literally the first one I did as a professional. Yeah.
But that's like when a part like that comes your way, do you kind of say, I've done enough of this, let me just not do that again?
I did think like that for a bit, especially when I was hearing this a lot, okay? But I don't know why, more recently, I feel like I'm going to own it. and I'm happy to own it. So when I did Sudhir sir's film, it was like nobody really knew me at that point, and he found me, and he in fact wanted to cast against type. He wanted to do that, and that's how I got that film, and I got a lot of love for that film also because I was new. Subsequently, I never played a part like that, strangely. And then you're right, and I tend to get these kinds of parts, and there was a point where it felt almost like no, but I can do anything, and I will learn, and I want to be versatile, etc., etc. And I was trying to fight it and trying to pick different kinds of things, and I will continue to do that. But I'm also very comfortable now with owning what it is that that is me.
Okay.
Because whatever it is, there is something to be said about casting, and casting to type, which is not a bad thing, because it creates a space which also there is a lot of love for, and you can explore a lot in that space, because each of these, as you rightly said, rarefied human beings are very different emotionally.
Right.
They have very different they are placed in different contexts. They have very different emotional journeys. They have very different dreams, desires, etc. And to me, that's exciting. And people who say that this is, this is where you have been placed and there's a typecasting, I'm like, in my mind, there isn't. I know the core is similar, but that's also the core that somewhere people are seeing me as. And it takes somebody who wants to change it, because only a director can do that. As actors, we are dependent. How much ever we might want to push and dream and whatever it is, we are dependent on what it is that we get and how people envision us. So I am dependent on somebody pushing that. And when I get it, I'll do it. It's not like I'll never do it. But I do enjoy this space too, because it's not a space that anybody gets to be in by pushing their way there. It's a space that you need to just belong to effortlessly. As Mani sir told me once, you can't play beautiful and you can't play fragile and you can't play cute. You have to just be it. And if you are it, it'll show. The rest of it, the rest of the journey is your script and your director and the emotional journey. But what you are,
Right. So does that mean that you said are beautiful, are fragile, so does that mean that you own that being fragile? Does it come naturally to you? Because I see Bibojan, which you're playing in Heeramandi, as somebody who uses her fragility, the apparent fragility, to hide a core of steel. So she's making you see a certain side of her, but behind the scenes, she's somebody else.
You know what? She's not hiding it. And, I'm so happy you said it.
From the point of view of the...
For a viewer. No, I'm very happy you said that. I'll tell you why. Because you're right, from the point of view of the viewer, it is hiding. And I feel like, because you've said it, it's actually set something off in my head. Because I relate to that so much. Because I've always... And the thing is, I'm not self-conscious about any of these things. Because we do so many interviews, and because people are constantly assessing us and, dissecting who we are and what we do, etc. It's been brought to my notice that I'm vulnerable and fragile, and I look like nobody's feeding me pani puri. And I always do love stories.
Pani puri is the...
There's a meme that says that, it's very complimentary, and then it says, and she always has this longing look where everybody's eating pani puri and not giving it to her. And I love it. And I'm like, but that's true, I do look like a deer in the headlights. But that's just how I look. So I'm like, so it is brought to your notice. Having said that, when you're sort of growing up in the industry, I'm determined not to grow up, that's a different matter. But you are made to be aware of so many things, but I like to shed that.
Right.
I listen to it at that point. I will be self-aware, but I'm not going to keep it in my head. Because otherwise, I'll do everything from that view or try to shatter that perception and then work like that, and then I won't, how can I work from my heart, and how can I work from instinct, and how can I learn, because my own burden will constantly be there, at the front.
Up front and center.
Yes. Okay. Of everything that I do, and I like to flow. And I'll come back to what you said with Bibojan and the hiding of this whole fearless journey that she has and this purpose that she has. Like, I feel like I relate to that so much because people see me a certain way, but I know I'm strong.
Yeah.
And people say if you do foo, she'll blow away, and if you touch her, she'll break, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
I'm not saying any of that.
You're not saying that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm not totally. No, I'm glad you're saying something that people say.
Yeah.
And it's fine that they say it. That's what they see. But I'm like, if there's a storm, I'll save you. Because I know my strength and I know that I have it. And I know where I stand steady, and I'm comfortable with both those sides of me. And I feel like somewhere, whether Sanjay sir intuitively, he's very perceptive, or I think he literally wanted me to have this trajectory in Bibbojan, and I feel like somewhere living that life has actually, and doing these interviews has actually really made me understand something. Because there's different kinds of fearlessness, there's different kinds of strength, there's different kinds of beauty, and every woman is unique, and you don't have to be strong and fearless in the same way.
Yeah.
And this girl shows that,
Yeah.
Bibbo,
Yeah.
and it's never about hiding, it's that people don't see it. She's strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's so strong to keep a family together, a warring family, a crazy family. She's the loyal, pure-hearted, kind, sweet, loving. She functions from love.
Yeah.
But that's her biggest strength. And I feel like, you're pointing out like my earlier parts, etc. I'm like, so many of the girls I've played have actually had that kind of core. And I actually feel very like lucky to have played such lovely girls.
Right. Now, just a correction, because when I say you're hiding it from the viewer, I mean you're hiding it from the Nawabs and all those people, not the audience.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. 100. Yeah, right. Okay, fair.
That's what I mean.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
But also from the viewer, also from the viewer, because so many people, like a lot of people won't even know what she's going to do because she's just sweet.
Yeah.
She's really sweet.
Yeah.
And she could have been a one-tone character.
Right.
But Sanjay sir has written her in a way that has this arc, and that's so like delicious to play.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest arc you've played. It took about like in terms of screen space, because over 8 episodes, maybe.
Yeah, I would say because it's like doing 4 films.
4 films, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're in every episode.
Yeah.
You interact with each of the people in a different way, and you're in a way as much a fulcrum as Manisha is in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, we all are, but yeah, I do see how Bibbojan's track is something that just keeps it kind of together, because the theme of independence, not only their personal but also the larger the larger cause and the larger purpose, and somebody pointed out, a critic in the US pointed out that the theme of freedom actually starts with Bibbojan's first mujra.
Yeah.
And that you actually see that it's very nuanced and it's very delicate, but that longing, like what is the longing? And he's kind of left it like that, so everybody finds their own meaning there. And it ties up right at the end with what happens, which I'm not going to give any spoilers. But I found that really interesting for Sanjay sir also, because he really challenges himself the most. Because everybody talks about how he challenges us and his technicians and everybody, but it starts with him being really hard on himself and challenging himself so much.
Right.
Where he literally eats, breathes, sleeps cinema, and his scenes, and it's always like whirring in his head.
Right.
With music always. But and it's incredible, and it really that whole tying this whole thing up in his first series, to see all of this so clearly. I like, as a Sanjay sir fan and as a cinema fan, I'm just like, wow.
You like seeing yourself on screen?
I take myself out of it. So the first few scenes, or the first little bit that I see, I want to like smack myself, and then I just get immersed.
Yeah? Because I know some actors that make it a point not to see themselves because they feel it'll make them very conscious about how they're doing things and all that kind of stuff. So.
Are you saying after it's released or while it's
Both,
being shot?
because one, while it's being shot, they don't go to the monitor.
I don't go to the monitor.
You don't go to the monitor?
No.
Right. And then 2, after it's released, they don't want to see it because they say all they see is mistakes. And
I don't usually go to the monitor. I go on certain sets. I've gotten used to and I've gotten quite spoilt by a lot of really incredible directors.
Yeah.
And that feeling of surrender, which I've said to you before, it's like feeling like a child on a jungle gym. When you know if you fall, they'll just pick you up and put you back. So that kind of surrender is something that is my fuel and I enjoy that. So when I don't get that, or I feel like, okay, now why is this everything okay, or why like this like I can be pushed more, then I will run to the monitor and be like, can I just see once and can I make it better? But my habit is not to see the monitor, and I feel like mostly you don't need to, unless there's an issue and then I go and see and then okay I can correct it. But watching a film, I think I want to watch it because I I love the filmmaker. So I'm literally watching it because I'm a fan of the filmmaker, not because I want to see myself and see what I did and whatever. That's later.
Yeah.
That happens later, and I will like want to slap myself in certain places or whatever. But mostly I'm just taken by the story and the.
You can go along for the ride.
Completely. I'm also watching my co-actors, and especially in something like Heeramandi, it's so expansive and it is very immersive, and I find it very beautiful.
It is.
And I don't mean just just outwardly beautiful. I mean like that like emotionally beautiful.
Yeah, there are so many scenes of interaction between the various permutations and combinations of women, and I like the way each one is so different in terms of they are. And Aditi, you don't have to convince me about your strength, because you've had this incredibly self-made journey in this very tough industry. You have, it's not like you just there are a lot of people who since Shringaram, this is of what, like we're talking almost 17 to 20 years later, that's what it's been. And
but I would say my working years have been 14.
But it's still, it's like you just said kid in a jungle gym. It's almost like watching somebody graduate from class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, and finally Mani Ratnam, Bhansali, like that. No, I'm not putting out Sudhir Mishra, of course, but you know what I mean, right? You slowly find your way, then you do this random Akshay Kumar film, something, then you kind of, and now you're like, you're a completely self-made person.
Yeah, and also, because now when you come from the outside, you just have
I like
this
that you're
dream.
owning that and saying, instead of saying humble things like, it's destiny or something.
No, but it's true.
Right.
Because I know that I've kind of fumbled, fallen, scraped my knees, but I don't have any regrets about it. I'll also say that, because there have been certain films that when I've seen them, I've been like, I don't like
I can
this
name
film.
two, I'm not going to name them.
I'm also not going to say it because I just find it not fair. But I'd be like, what is this? Like, why is it like this? But I don't regret it, because when I said yes to it, I had a dream, and that dream was
and
from a
from
pure
a good place,
heart. And and I wanted to try something, and I believed the best of it. It didn't turn out like that, but that's not on me.
Right.
I feel like, I'll say from 2010-11 onwards, because I say I own that, because that is when I came to Bombay and I actually became a professional, and I wasn't just being one child saying I want to do films, so proper. But I would say from there, it's people who don't know the industry. In a way, it's lovely because there's no baggage, but in a way, it's also difficult because you don't have any chances to falter, at least major falter. People don't pick you up and put you back on the jungle gym till Mani Ratnam finds you, or Sanjay sir finds you, or all the other lovely directors I've worked with post, I would say, a certain period. Yeah, it's kind of like learning how to ride a bicycle. Those are all valuable journeys, and I wouldn't even like to say lessons because that's really heavy, but it's like you learn, you grow, and I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to tell me with a specific example of a specific scene, how, because you speak of Mani Ratnam and Bhansali, and that's the two directors that you wanted to work with, how each one directs an actor.
You want me to talk about both these people? They're too legendary. It's but
difficult. From your experience, it's like this is how this particular scene, I went out to do this, and this is how Bhansali directed me, and I went out to do this, and this is how Mani Ratnam directed me.
I'll actually talk about two of the scenes that were in the same spot. which I thought, and they were so different. So there's a scene in Carter Valley Day where I'm inside that MIG, is it called a MIG? Yeah. So Karthi and I inside that. Manisa will tell you something very, very simple to take you to the place that he wants to be, that he wants you to be. And I think because I'd spent so much time with him prepping and just talking, and he always says, we'll find Leela together. And one of the things, and this is before we started shooting, so I went to the office, and Nani sir was there.
Shekhar Prasad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ravi Varman was there shooting, and the Mani sir was there directing. I got a monologue where I'm speaking to my tata, and it was like about my experience at the hospital. And I had been given the monologue the night before, but I mean, I tried my level best to mug it, and nothing was sitting in my head. Also, because I couldn't believe that I was going to meet Mani Ratnam, and I was going to do a screen test with him. And my front bencher, this thing was not working out for me. I was a full back bencher, nothing went in my head. So I went to the screen test, and literally like a kid, I blurted out. I was just like, the first thing I said was, I'm going to muck up the screen test, I don't know Tamil, and then you're going to throw me out, and my dream will never come true. And he just looked at me, and he was like, I'm not going to see, this is not a test to see if you can act. I just want to see if you can take my direction. And I was suddenly like, oh, wow, okay. And I was just like, okay, I'm in Leela ka's class, and she's choreographing something, and I have to just listen and do. And that's what I did. And so through the shoot, it was that. And my life really changed. My life of being on a set after that really, really changed. And I was like, my God, this is what I want to do. And that scene in the MIG, all he said was, this is her dream. As a teenager, she has fallen in love with this boy.
She has hero worshipped him.
She has hero worshipped him, and she has built like a story in her head about who this guy is. That childlike feeling is what happens in this scene. And so it was just that the scene is just there, right? And that's all it was, and that's all he told me, and that's how he directs. And I feel like with Mani sir, I felt like he loves the break in rhythm almost, and almost like the little human faltering that happens, just when you're just thinking and being, and that's what he's looking for. Because children do silly things, so those things, almost.
So, for example, like let's say you're saying a line and you falter on a word, things like that.
Yeah, not faltering on a word, but just it possibly like the little quirk that you find in a person. I say that's what makes a Mani Ratnam heroine, right?
Yeah.
Those little sweet but very natural, real things that people do.
Right.
So it's not dancer-like, for example. It's almost childlike.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Right.
And that realness of that childlike realness is what I felt is, at least in that particular part.
Yeah.
However serious it's getting, that very sort of that space.
Yeah.
And in that particular scene, and in the other scene, it's very different. In the other scene where she's breaking up with him, it was like, for her, and how much ever she loves this boy, it's almost like her self-respect at that point is the most important thing. And whatever she's saying out of love, but she's saying out of also love for herself and this relationship that she wishes for, but she knows it can't happen. And that space is quite a complex space. I remember that day was quite incredible because I was actually crying, because telling somebody that, we like loving somebody so much and telling them that we'll actually rot together is
I think turn into ash is what the line is.
Something like that. Yeah. And it's almost like you can see, like, he wanted to see the love through it all and the dignity of her walking away, and it had to be done with dignity. And almost like he's the older one, but it's almost like she became the more sensible one there, and she was just like, no.
Yeah.
And it was such a huge contrast from where it starts.
Right.
And where I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. It was very difficult for me to talk about.
No, you're doing a great job. You wait till you're pushed to the extreme in that movie, that your character, and then at that point you say, that's it or no more, and then you just go away.
And again, like Leela, the fragility, etc., etc. Yeah, I see it, but I see it like, but she's very strong.
Yeah.
I mean, it like the strongest person is somebody who can look somebody in the eye and tell them that they love them, but this is not working. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like my self-respect is very important to me, and walking away. And we know that so many films have been made which are kind of like this, but where the girl has no agency and no dignity per se, you know. So I love that Manisa, for him, that is so important. You know, through it all, through the childlike fragility, the innocence, the beauty, that dignity is very important. I think Sanjay sir actually also comes from a very similar space where there's so much respect for women. He treats like a woman can come from anywhere, and but she will, in his eyes, she is a queen.
Right.
You know, and that dignity is always there, and you can see it in all the characters, especially in Heeramandi, because they're all so different.
So even the two loyal servants, Sattu and Fattu, like
Exactly.
even them, I'm like, you know, we're doing that whole. We're not just seeing the beautifully dressed up, the tawafs, but we're also seeing the people who are around them. You know,
Almost like a Downton Abbey.
Yeah, actually, I thought of Downton Abbey, the upstairs downstairs thing.
Right?
Yeah,
Little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it just felt like that. With Sanjay sir, I want to also like just speak about like what I felt as an actor on his set, more than how he directs or how he directed me. Like I feel like this whole thing of this dignity and the fact that his heroines, they're very, very complete. They are not one tone. They have complexities. Again, they have agency. They are presented in the most beautiful way, which possibly can be distracting because a lot of people talk about it. But I feel, and the reason why his heroines also live on is because they have so much more than just physical beauty. They have huge and vast emotional, deep emotional graphs, and they're very interesting characters, and simmering, always simmering at like beneath the surface, and which makes them really like exciting. With Manisa, I told you, like like Manisa doesn't say very much, but what he says is precious, and I think he just knows how to say what to who, and that's what a great director is. And quite often I would be like, how do you know how a girl thinks? And he would just be like, Kanna, it's my job. He just say it as simply as that, with that small little twinkle, and you're like, yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that for him, and he just knows how to do it, and he knows how to get you in that space. And with on Heeramandi, Sanjay sir, he said this to me, and that's why I'm so grateful to him for giving me Bibbojan and for creating Bibbojan the way that he created her, is that he said, you know, everybody looks at you in a certain way, and I want to get that fire out of you. And I would just like be like, okay, and I was always a little like, will I be able to live up to this? And we were doing this scene where I had to be kind of like give this rousing speech to this guild hall, and I was like really nervous because I was like, okay, it's not anger. It's like you are convincing this whole band of Tawayafs to, I mean, you know what that scene is.
Right. Basically, you're saying don't think like a mujre wali, think like a mulk wali.
Basically, right? Yeah. And it is a rousing speech. Mm-hmm. We did like 2 or 3 takes, and he saw it, and he called me. He said, I want to talk to you. And contrary to popular belief, he's very loving and gentle, and he explains very well. He's very communicative. So he called me aside, and he just spoke to me. And he said, he took me into that world, because somewhere, I mean, we are contemporary, like, you know, we understand it theoretically, but what is it to be there? The thing with Sanjay sir is he speaks very passionately, and he's all heart. So he just says what he's feeling. He doesn't have filters. And that's actually the most valuable thing about him. He started speaking, and he started speaking about, imagine like a girl at that time, and the unsung heroes of that time. So many women would have been part of this movement, and Tawayafs. who are people don't even know their stories. And what it must have taken for them to be there, for them to believe, for them to stand so steady and to do all the things that they did, and to just look fear in the eyes and just go with it, take destiny on, that's a lot. And he spoke about it, and the way he spoke about it, my tears were like here, because I was really moved, and I was very overwhelmed, and I was like, can we shoot? And he said, I'm going to give everybody a lunch break. He was very calm. He said, I'm going to give everybody a lunch break. Can we make a deal? And I was like, okay, tell me, whatever, anything for you. And he said, don't eat. So I was like, okay, done. He said, just think about what I said, don't eat, and come back. And I came back, and we did one take, and he liked it. Yeah. So I feel like he's also perceptive, in his own way, and he knows how to put an actor in that place. I just like listening to him. He really takes you into a zone, and you almost like, I'm also very like, I'm a dreamer, so I go into a little visual storyboard of my own. So he just takes you there, and I surrender, and I do go there, and I enjoy that. I really enjoy that.
And this is the last I'm doing, promise. But for me, the other major director that you worked with is Sudhir Mishra, because he was such a big part of the parallel cinema movement. And he comes from a very different school from both Mani Ratnam and Sanjay Leela Bhansali. So when you did Das Dev, that other movie, what was that like?
Oh, you like that a lot, right? You like that, yeah. I read that. I won't go to Das Dev, I'll go to Ye Sali Zindagi, maybe. Because I was also very new then. I was very excited to be working with Sudhir sir. So you'll read his scene, and you'll come to set imagining. I'm also new, so I'm creating my own stories in my head. And I'll tell you the story of that song that we did. There's that very beautiful Kaise Kahin Alvida song. So I'm thinking of that song, and I'm like, oh, my first love song, and whatever. I've built one nice story, and I've come to set, and he has told me to break vessels, throw something, some bed has broken, some full dramatics is happening. I've not even realized how hectic that song is and how intense that song is, because I'm just like, this is my first love song, I'm breaking things and things are falling all over the place. That is his jam. And even when he's directing, he'll be like, you'll do something and be like, you're almost there. Like, what is it? Just get to that place. That's what he says. And so you're in that thing of just pushing to whatever it is that he's saying. And he communicates in a it's very like kind of little bits of communication. He's not making one full, it's like a full sentence almost. I think I was able to get understand what he was saying. And so he'll do one take, almost there, another take, almost there, got it. Like it's that. So you always feel like, oh, it's done? It's like that.
Right.
So you're almost like in process still, but he's found what he was looking for.
Right.
I find that very interesting, because it's not like you're arriving at it and you know that with every step you're getting closer, which is one way. Here it's like, oh, you don't even know that you got there. It's like that.
Right. No, but thank you so much for explaining these three approaches, simply because what's hidden from people is usually the process.
Yeah.
And that's what's most fascinating, because I know Aditi Rao Hydari is giving a good performance as Bibojan, but how is she managing that performance? It can't be just all her. Because the thing is, most of us, when we're asked to do a particular job that we know that we've trained enough for or pushed ourselves into, will do it a particular proficient way. But to move from there to the next level or to the level higher, you need that director to kind of...
Absolutely. Yeah. And I am a director's baby.
Right.
And
so, which is why when somebody's like explaining this, it's very fascinating, because you're saying Mani Ratnam doesn't talk at all. He just uses maybe one or two words. And Sudhir Mishra is like this, almost like a coach saying, you can jump, you can do it, whatever it is. And then you have Sanjay Bhansali giving a whole impassioned speech about, that situation. Yeah. So it's like three...
Yeah, it's actually very, very, very different.
Yeah.
But they, and actually all three of them literally like live, breathe, eat cinema. I don't think they're thinking about anything else.
Right.
Like literally.
Do you live, breathe, and eat cinema? Because I was talking to a manager before this, and she said, I love being a manager to Aditi because she gives a lot of time to her personal space, so I also get a lot of time off. So how do you manage that?
I have this little workaholic streak. And I had it.
You had it or you have it?
No, I still have it. I still have it. I'm saying had it because I was like, if I was not working a day and I was not on set a day, I would have withdrawal symptoms. Like I would literally feel like that. I would feel like, oh no, why am I not on set? I want to do something. I want to create. I want to, like, it was that, like a greedy child.
Yeah.
But there was a point where I was becoming a hamster on a wheel, literally, because I was also jumping from one language to another, and I enjoyed doing it because I worked with a lot of incredible people. But I think post-COVID, when I did Jubilee and of course Heeramandi, when I did Heeramandi, I didn't do anything else, actually, even with Jubilee, because I couldn't. It was not possible. And with Heeramandi, I didn't even want to. I just wanted to be there. And I just gave myself that luxury to do it. She's also caught me at that point. But I do feel it's important to, you know how you said, like, you know, coming back to that dance and music space. So I feel like it's so important for somebody who has that sort of artistic or is a kind of dreamer personality to kind of come back to your home zone, home space, and then to jump out of there and not keep running.
Right.
Because I think there's something that you find by coming back to
Yeah.
zero. When I say zero, you know what
Ground zero. Yeah.
yeah. So like I love to work and I love to be on set and I'm like yearning to get back to set. But now I'm like I need to push it. I need to really feel that challenge. I've always said it, but I feel like I'm now really very, very spoiled. And I can't say okay to something that is just like, okay, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's fun. Okay, let me try it. But having said that, I do also want to be light. I don't want to take myself so seriously because it's fun. It's also fun to create with lightness, not with any kind of burden. I don't want the burden.
Right.
At all.
Right. Now, behind me, down here, there's like
a cat?
No, there's like a bunch of spiral bound. Are those scripts?
Yes.
Okay. Have you picked your next?
Yes.
Okay.
I have. My next is called Lioness. It's, you know, I have my KV script still.
You have?
Like my favorite scripts I still have. With all the markings and like, you know, like a real student I have like sat and put like, I have
I
them
remember the interview we did around the time where you said you slept with it, you bathed with it, you did this with that. You pretty much would feel like it was like a
really
constant, you know, like...
Yeah. Manisa would say, if you say, scene 52, even when she's sleeping, she'll wake up and blah, 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 blah. But with that, I wanted to be like that.
Right.
I wanted to like know the dialogue so well that I could take any direction that Manisa gave me.
When that happens, you get a big director, you get a big platform, and when the film doesn't do well, how do you take that?
Again, something Manisa told me. He said, we made the film we wanted to make. After that, it's for the world. And Leela Akka, when I was a little child, also told me the same thing. She said, as an artist, you practice till you breathe, faint, do whatever. Once you come in front of the audience or camera, it's all heart, and then it's theirs. And how they receive it is also them. And like, say a film like Carter Valley Day, which got a lot of mixed response. But today, my God, people keep talking about it and saying all kinds of amazing things about it. And I'm like, where were you at that time? Why were you sleeping? But it's okay, it's a journey. And what Manisa told me is really valuable because everybody has a right to their opinion at that point, and sometimes films grow with people.
Right.
So it's okay. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Because it's like basically you let go.
Yeah. Because I feel like as artists, what is in our control is our intention.
Yeah.
100% that you give to that intention of creating.
Right.
Once you have created and given it, there's too many things. Context, time, people's moods, what they're feeling, what they've just seen, what they're going to see, what happened in their home. It's too many things.
Too many variables
Yes.
to kind of try to control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you say yes to Lioness?
Lioness, I just thought was
Can you say who the director is?
Yeah. She's a new director. It's her first film. Her name is Kajri Babbar. It's a BFI and NFDC. It's an Indo-British
Okay. British Film
production.
Institute, right? BFI.
Yes,
the BFI. Okay.
that's where she's from, and that's not the reason. Though that is, I mean, it is beautiful that I'm a part of it. But the reason is that I found the script very interesting. And also, like I'm telling, like what I'm saying, like I do have this thing of I feel spoiled and I want to push it, but I also want to be light. I also want to say I want to discover, I want to be curious, and I want to have the lightness to say, okay, this is interesting. It's a new director, and I want to, I want to get into this space and do it. It's about the suffragette movement.
Right.
It's written in a way that it's two girls a century apart and how one life impacts the other.
Nice.
It is very interesting and it's relevant and it's...
Yeah. You know, I was talking to an actor and he said that one of the toughest things about being an actor today is that the audiences become so picky that what you would have done 10 years ago saying, this is a not bad script, no longer works. You have to try and make sure that every script is like bang on. He said, and getting those scripts is really difficult because it's like you read and or listen to narrations, and your days pass and you're not inspired by anything. And he says that's the worst period to be in because you're like, you have to make a movie next, but then you're like, also don't want to make a movie for the sake of making a movie.
But honestly, I'm kind of in that space too, and that's why I said, like, you get spoiled with people who push you, and when you see beautiful, when you see these beautifully written heroines who are more than just heroines.
Right.
I think it's also because there's so much content that's available, and there are so many creative, interesting people who are creating. So now, and I don't blame the audience because when they're watching all of that, then you will demand more from your own people. And I feel as actors, though there are very, very, very interesting people with interesting minds, are those scripts getting greenlit? I don't know. Are there producers backing those scripts? I don't know. Are they getting the right actors for the right scripts, or are projects being put together because it's commercially viable? And I feel that, like, I understand all those things. I get it, theoretically. But I'm saying, if we are in a creative medium, don't we have to get the creation right first?
Yeah.
And then make a business plan for that creation? So do correct business according to what it is that you're creating. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And again, like maybe I'm speaking with a certain sense of naivety because I don't know the business side of it. As in, I don't know it in so much detail. Of course, it's my business to know it, but I don't know it in detail. But I'm like, why can't it at least start at the correct place? Again, it comes down to intention, right? Like anybody tells you a good story, you're going to stop and listen. So why can't we start there?
Right.
And if the right person is put for the right part, there will be suspension of disbelief and I can be immersed in that story. But if you're going to put that person there just because their last film did well, their last film hasn't always done well because of that sole human being. It's done well because of the entire film.
Right.
Because everybody did well together and it worked. So as creative people, isn't that important to understand and then go about it the right way? And maybe we'll have more interesting stuff, more courageous stuff, more honest stuff. I think. So I feel like in creativity, I know there's that like somewhere some kind of manipulation happens, but doesn't it also have to start with like love and honesty?
Yeah, wanting to tell a good story.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And wishing you a lot of strength to navigate the time till you reach 2034 and play your next pre-independence. Dancer.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to do another period film very soon. And if people are like, aren't you tired of it? I'm like, no. Because like, I love it. It's great.
Yeah. And one quote of yours that I keep seeing, it keeps coming, I love dressing up. I love dressing up. I love dressing up. That, I don't know, it keeps coming up.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm asked so often. All these heavy clothes, jewelry. I'm like, but I love it. If you're getting the best of it, I mean, and that's your character.
And that's your job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I am Bibbo Jan, I am going to be in a garara. I'm not going to be in patawa jeans, which is why in my actual life, like today I was made to dress up and come and sit in front of you. I was like, can't I do this interview in a sweatshirt? And I was told no. So I was like, fine.
No, but one interesting thing about Bipojan's costumes was that they were not as ornate or as jewelry filled as what is this? What is this you're doing?
That you noticed.
Yeah, because when you're doing your last mudra,
Yeah.
you're almost very spare. You know, it's like you're not like you just have your. It's not this heavy duty. You know, the setting is beautiful and everything, but you're very plain.
Yeah, that is Sanjay sir. That is Sanjay sir and because
And even your hair and all, it's
Right.
loose, and it's like you're almost like there's a sense of renunciation at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah, yeah.
one, the girl doesn't want to be where she is. She
Yeah.
doesn't want to be at the vibe. She has other
Right.
passions and dreams. But because she's like loyal and correct and the good daughter,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
that's what she does. She's also she's also the singer and dancer of the family, and she's earning for Shahi Mahal. But I feel like that was completely Sanjay sir's vision, because even in the first Mujra, I remember when we did the this thing, and I have to tell you, he literally knows every flower, every pin, every hair, this thing. He remembers it all. And then the magic of the emotion, like I don't know how he does it, but I mean, I guess that's why he creates cinematic legacy the way that he does. But he was just like, try this earring, try that earring, and he said, what do you want? And I was like, I don't want to wear that. So he said, I also don't want you to wear it. Leave it. Let's just keep her clean. And he never made me wear anything extra. Just for certain scenes, he would say, today please go and put on some jewelry and come. But it was so rare that he did that. He just wanted me. He just wanted that much.
And that made the character very different and, in a way, very pure from the others. So, because there was no great effort to show others a certain that bejeweled facet or whatever it is.
Because
So,
that's not her journey.
That's not her
and
journey, yeah.
she's so true to, she's all heart and she's so true to who she is.
Yeah.
And that's what is like, I'm so happy you noticed that, because that is so much a part of who a person is.
Yeah.
You know, every choice that they make counts, you know, and he believes in that, this thing. It's not just put on for whatever. That curtain is not there just for whatever. Like, and, you know, you should have come in. I wish you had been to our set. It was like, I mean, I can't even tell you. And the thought that went into it, like my room was so me. Just like when you walked in here and you said, this house is so you. Bibbo Jan's room was so Bibbo Jan. Faridan's home was so Faridan. You know, in at least in the place that she is. Each one of us. It was like very. I found it very cool, and that's what makes you so. That's why you feel so immersed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, actually, Revati told me something similar about her role in Anjali. She said Tota Tarani, and who is the art director, and Mani Ratnam, they both gave her the space and said, this is your kitchen. You put everything wherever you want it. So she said, okay, this is where I put the salt, and this is where I put the sugar, and this is where. So they said, the minute you walk in, you should know where to reach for this.
Yeah.
She said that was a very cool experience to create her space, you know.
No, really, it's so true. Even Leela, it's the same thing with Leela's house, her Tata's house. We started shoot in that house with quite a hectic scene actually. But, and Mani sir doesn't, like, it's very different, right, his communication. So he was like, I'm going to set, do you want to come? And I just went. And I said, I just walked around the house and I said, can I stay here? It's so pretty. So he's like, it's your home. And the moment he said it's your home, I don't know, that something changes, right? Because then you're just like, yeah, this is my home, these are my things, and you feel like you belong there.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you feel you belong in the industry now?
Yeah. But in my own way, I feel like, though, as you rightly said, it's been like scraping your knees, getting up, and then again running.
And let me just add, it's a very admirable journey. You know, it's like, it's one of those journeys that you want to tell people that listen.
It's possible.
It's possible. You know, it's not like, you know. Yeah.
I feel like when you start, because you're listening to a lot of people, and also people want to make you a certain way. Like I was told very often, and the reason I'm going back to this is because I used to be told, you don't wear makeup, you don't wear heels, you look very little, you know, you have to be glamorous. all these things are important for an actor, because at that time I was just like, but why should I? I can do that on screen. So that was my way of thinking. But it didn't make sense. In 2011-12, it probably didn't make sense. And that's also possibly when the industry was changing. And today, I don't have to answer that question. And I can go with very little even on screen. But I feel like that kind of thing of saying, this is me, this is authentically me, and I can celebrate that.
Yeah.
And if I'm okay with that, it will reach people.
Yeah.
That came to me when I first walked onto Mani Sir's set. Sudhir sir, of course, but I just spent that much more time with Mani Sir because of both those films and just being at the Madras Talkies office for so long. And I feel like subsequently, because I enjoyed that experience so much, and it was so much of that little girl dream, and it was more than what I imagined. I wanted more experiences like that, and I feel like, to answer your question more succinctly, I do belong because I feel like I have worked with people, each one of them has been very special and very unique and really incredible, and I've felt very protected. And I feel like today, when that I'm very comfortable being that 5-year-old, being unique, being me, roaming around in my sneakers and my torn jeans with my hair up, doing the kind of films that I want to do, and saying I want to work with certain directors, and that is what I'm going to do.
And that's happening.
And that's happening. And I feel like you are a sum total of the decisions that you make, and they might seem difficult at one point, but if they seem true, if it comes from here, just do it. And that's literally what I know how to do. And I can't fight that because that's me.
Yeah.
So that's what I do, and that's why I feel like I belong.
Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying, because it you know that this is your path, but then there are so many people whispering so many things into your ear along the way that sometimes along the way they will say, no, don't go to digital. People know you as a print person. Don't do this. Don't do that.
Really?
Digital is a young person's medium. Like you may not be accepted. There are so many things, and something inside you just tells you,
do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and do it. And what's going to happen? You're going to fall. It's like, so.
And it's your own belief, conviction, and I feel like the people will find you. The people who value you and the people you value will find you. And having said that, about the belonging in the industry, etc., I feel like, say, at this point, Heeramandi has released it. Somebody asked me, have your contemporaries texted, whatever. A lot of them haven't. And that's the thing of being, not from here or not having family here in the industry per se. Your journey is not always encouraged or celebrated by the people around you. Not always. It is, but not always. But what I do is I have it's my superpower. So I'm like, there's going to be a lot of noise. I'll find the music in the noise. So I'm not going to complain about what's not happening. I look at what is happening. So I will value all those who, help me grow, help me, make me feel loved. And I'll concentrate on that. So, and this is how I like to function.
It's good. So I think that superpower should be with everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aditi.
And Mani sir and Sanjay sir picked me, so I don't have anything to complain about, ever.
You haven't. I don't think anybody
Right?
can. But to get there is what is the interesting journey, because it's like you do a film with Bijoy and, it's all, it works out. So, yeah. So.
Really? Yeah, Vidhu sir, Bijoy. But I feel like all these people are kind of also connected. They're, I don't know, in some way, right?
It is, right? So see, sometimes when people say things like universe, manifest, this, that, and all that, it's hard to put it together, but sometimes you feel that, maybe you can't depend on it totally, but you do feel that if you put in that work, things happen. And let's not get too into that kind of but let's just end it here. But thanks, Aditi. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And it felt like a second conversation about Heeramandi, because about a year back or something, or maybe a year and a half back, we both were on the same flight, and we changed the seat and sat next to each other and talked non-stop about only Sanjay sir and Sanjay sir and Sanjay sir. Yes. Kind of. So this feels like a part 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. It's always so much fun talking to you, whether on a flight or in an interview.
Thank you.
And it feels the same, honestly.
Yeah.
Hola! Your dream vacation to Turkey starts from rupees 79,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.